Hi team, and welcome back to our Anchor Fact series of printables and mini lessons on the history of Canada. Today we answer the question, why is there a Canada? The question stumps people who don't know history. There seemed to be so much in common between the United States and Canada. They are both mainly English-speaking countries, who were both part of the British Empire. They're both free countries, where people have the right to vote. They are friendly neighbors with a largely undefended border who trade a great deal with one another. Their sports teams play in the same leagues, although Canadian football is slightly different and separate from American football. They are part of the same military alliance called NATO, and the list goes on. But they are separate countries. Why? We already know part of the answer. Canada was settled by the French, not the English. Samuel de Champlain started the settlement of Quebec in 1608. But after the 7 Years' War, which we talked about in the last lesson, Canada and the United States were both British colonies in America, side by side. Why did they split? The simple answer is the American Revolution. In that world-changing event, the American colonies rebelled against their mother country, but the Canadian colonies did not join them. They were loyal. So our theme today is the Loyalists. First, why did the Americans rebel? The simple answer is found in the American phrase, "No taxation without representation," which was the original rallying cry of the Americans. They were being forced to accept taxes by the British government, which they had no say in. They were not represented in the British Parliament. And as their argument over this problem continued, they were punished by the British government for their refusal to submit by a series of laws they called intolerable acts. One of these, the Quebec Act, officially expanded Canada to include what are today Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, along with more territory. Wouldn't the world feel like a strange place if the border between the US and Canada were here instead of here? This drove the Americans to rebel further. They had just fought the French for control of this land, and now it was being given to the French Canadians. When the Revolutionary War began, the Americans asked the Canadians to join them, but they refused. They remained loyal. French Canadians were used to a French monarchy that did not respect their rights. In fact, there would soon be a French Revolution against it. When they joined the British Empire, they found themselves freer and more prosperous. They did not want to give that up. In addition, many within America did not want to join the revolution and decided to leave. These loyalists came to Canada, especially to the English-speaking colony of Nova Scotia, among others. This caused Canada and the United States to take on different identities. Canada was loyal, and the United States was rebellious. And yet, they both became free countries. Relatively free, that is. When it comes to freedom, there are degrees. That means you can be free in some ways, but not in others. The Chinese, for instance, have some freedom to trade with the world. We've talked about that in our Anchor Fact series on China. On the other hand, the Chinese have no say in who their rulers are. They must accept the rule of the Chinese Communist Party. It's hard for just about anyone in the world to imagine how much freedom Americans have known and continue to know. It is considerably more than Canadians know. Canadians who are more loyal to the idea that their government should control more parts of their lives inherited this idea from the British, while Americans rejected it. It's like a disagreement among siblings. Different children of the same parent will often disagree about what matters and how to live their own lives when they become independent. For the same mother country, we get two offspring, Canada and the United States. It works the same way. Canadians, for instance, want the government to control healthcare. They believe this is a better way to help poorer people get the same treatment as everybody else. Americans believe in more freedom of choice in healthcare. Canadians don't believe in the same gun rights as Americans do. Americans hold very dearly to the Second Amendment of their Constitution that says the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. Sometimes the two countries get along better than other times, but these disagreements go back a long way. They go back to the American Revolution and to Canada remaining loyal to the British Empire. They go back to the Loyalists. American President Donald Trump recently suggested that Canada should become the 51st state of America. Is he joking? Sometimes it's hard to tell. One way to think of what he is saying, though, is that the family should get back together. What do you think? Leave your comments below. Do all Canadians agree? What if Quebec were to leave Canada and become a separate country? What would happen? And see you in the next lesson.